This holiday, give the gift that says, let's cancel plans and just lounge. MeUndies has dropped a new holiday collection, and it's made for maximum cozy. We're talking soft as snow ultramodal fabric, festive prints, and loungewear so comfy your couch might get jealous. Onesies, hoodies, joggers, even delightfully quirky holiday designs. You're welcome. Knock out all your holiday gifting needs with deals up to 60% off at MeUndies.com/comfort. Enter promo code COMFORT. That's MeUndies.com/comfort, code COMFORT.
A convict who pretends to be insane is sent to an asylum where he clashes with the head nurse. Join us as we discuss an adorable way to describe a sunrise, getting weirded out by fishing hooks, and a coupon for barbed wire. Then we find out if One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest stands the test of time.
Test of time, James and Alan have to say, do the movies you love still hold up today? James says gladiator with a glut, and Alan says as a father blah blah. It's the test of time, James and Alan have to say, do the movies you love still hold up today? Test of time, James and Alan have to say, do the movies you love still hold up today?
Cuckoo, cuckoo. It's time for the Test of Time podcast. I'm James Brief, and joining me as always is my buddy and pal and the director of this podcast, Mr. Alan Noah. How you doing, Al?
I am doing very well, thank you, James. Neither one of us are in an insane asylum, except for the insane asylum of life.
I heard you had some kind of insane hike the other day.
Good segue. Yeah, I went and I hiked the Grand Canyon. We started at the top, the South Rim. We hiked down to the bottom, all the way to the Colorado River, and then turned around and went back up. So it was about 21 miles in one day.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. It was really, really intense. The idea of the trip, it's called a misogi. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Have you ever heard that? It's like a Japanese term.
No.
Basically, it's a yearly thing that you do, and there's two rules. One is that it has to be hard, and two is you can't die. It's just kind of like a thing that this group of guys does every year. Yeah, it was definitely the longest hike I've ever been on. Have you ever been to the Grand Canyon?
Yeah, I've been there.
Okay. Did you do any hiking?
No, I did that transparent walkway thing. That was cool.
Yeah. I've heard about that. I've seen that. We didn't go anywhere near that on this trip. Obviously, it's huge. There's so much to see and do there.
The Grand Canyon it's one of the few things that it sounds cliche, but a picture just isn't good enough. You just have to see it.
True.
My sister, brother, and I took a trip a couple of years ago. We went to the Grand Canyon at sunrise, and we all asked our, at the time, 3-year-old niece, so what did you think? And we honestly thought that she was going to say something like, I want to watch this cartoon now, or when are we getting pancakes? But she said, it was 1,000 beautifuls.
That is so cute. I love that story. That is adorable. We started hiking before sunrise, so it was pitch black and we had the headlamps on. And then as we were going, the sun rose and it really was just breathtaking. And then as we finished up the hike, the sun was setting. We managed to get out of the Grand Canyon while the sun was still out, which was good because as soon as the sun sets, it drops 20 degrees real fast. It gets real cold.
Oh, yeah. I mean, anywhere in the desert will do that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So this is a movie that I thought I had seen, and I don't think I did, because I remember reading the book in middle school, in high school. I thought we probably watched the movie in class after that, because that's a thing that happens sometimes. After you read the book, you watch the movie. But watching it the other day, I was like, nope, I did not ever watch this movie. Or if I did, it has long since gone from my memory. Did you read this book in school? Had you seen this movie before?
No, but do you happen to know who produced this film?
Yes, I do because I was reading up about it. So it was Kirk Douglas who wanted to make this movie right from when the book came out in the 60s, and he wanted to star in it. He got the rights. He did a stage production, and he was the lead in the stage production, but ultimately he aged out of the lead in the movie, and then he passed it on to his son, Michael Douglas, who produced it and also was kind of hoping to maybe be in it, but ultimately wasn't.
That is a totally fantastic answer to that question that I had a 100% different answer to. The other producer of this film is the late Saul Zaentz. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
I happen to know the family, and lovely people. They produced Amadeus, The English Patient. Have you ever heard of a film called The Mosquito Coast?
Yeah.
Do you know who stars in it?
No.
It stars Harrison Ford. We'll eventually do that film.
Sure, sounds good. But for anyone who hasn't seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, this movie is about Randall McMurphy, a prisoner who fakes mental illness so he can serve his sentence in a mental institution as opposed to a hard labor camp. When McMurphy first arrives, he thinks it's going to be 68 days of sitting in group therapy and gambling. However, he quickly learns that his admission to the mental institution means he can be held as long as his supervisors deem fit. He also realizes that most of the inmates are there voluntarily, though his friend the chief, who is committed, is faking being dumb and deaf. The doctors know that McMurphy isn't mentally ill, but Nurse Ratched, the head nurse of his ward, wants to keep him in the asylum. When McMurphy becomes increasingly disruptive, Ratched amps up her punishments. One night, McMurphy throws a party with girls and alcohol, and one of the inmates, Billy, sleeps with the woman that McMurphy invited. When Nurse Ratched finds out, she threatens to call his mother. Distraught, Billy commits suicide, prompting McMurphy to attack her. Ratched retaliates by having McMurphy lobotomized. When the chief sees what happened to McMurphy, he kills him and escapes from the ward. So I know this movie was beloved when it was released. I know it won a ton of awards, but how did it do at the box office? Did it make a lot of money?
Yeah, it did gangbusters. This film, not surprisingly, only cost $3 million to produce. It opened on November 20th, 1975, and it made $108 million, most of that in the initial run, and $147 million worldwide.
Wow. And this movie is notable from an Oscar standpoint because it won all 5 major awards. The Big Five is what it's called. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, and Best Screenplay. There are only 2 other movies that have ever done it. It Happened One Night.
And can I guess? And Sounds of the Lambs?
Yes, Silence of the Lambs. Also, Brad Dourif, who plays Billy, he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. He didn't win. It was also nominated for Best Cinematography, Best Editing, Best Original Score. So this movie was an awards juggernaut. It's based on the 1962 novel, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, by Ken Kesey. And Randall shows up at this asylum, and from his first interview with the doctor, they're basically calling him out on it. Like, you're not mentally ill. You're just faking it to get out of work, right? And he basically admits that. He was arrested for having sex with a 15-year-old girl. The way that the movie kind of plays it off is, I was 18, she was 15, she looked older, shrug.
Right. He plays it off exactly by saying 15, but you wouldn't think she was less than 18.
The way he says it is far more vulgar.
He comes across as the guy he did a bad thing, and he thinks he's the smart guy that's like playing the system by feigning mental illness, because he doesn't want to do 68 days of hard labor. It's going to be easy. He's just going to, talk about his feelings and whatever.
Right. And I think that's a very good point. McMurphy thinks that he is smarter than everybody. He has it all figured out. He knows what he's doing. And he very much does not. He has put himself in a place where he does not understand the rules. He does not understand what the parameters are of being in this institution. And you know who does know? Nurse Ratched. And the thing that I remember about the book is that Nurse Ratched is basically evil. She is an evil presence in the book. She's considered just one of these classic villains. And the book was hugely popular as kind of a counterculture sort of a thing, pushing back against authority, pushing back against society and institutions and things like that. It was also accused of misogyny in the way it treated Nurse Ratched. But so I was watching this movie just imagining Nurse Ratched as this pure, evil, malevolent force. And at least in the beginning of the movie, she's really not. She is clearly an antagonist to McMurphy, but definitely in the beginning, she doesn't come across as pure evil incarnate. I think, though, that changes as the movie goes on. But what was your impression of Nurse Ratched as someone who was new to this story?
I don't think she's a very good person at all.
Why?
The very first group therapy session, she seems to keep bringing up like, oh, and that's when this horrible thing happened. I just feel like she was not doing what a good therapist does. And a good therapist doesn't really say much. Like, you do most of the talking. But just the things she was saying, I was kind of like, why are you keep bringing things down? And there's even a part where one of the characters says, how come you keep asking him that question? Why won't you let it go?
Yeah.
You know, you might think in some ways, like a real good, well-intentioned mental therapist is like, no, we have to talk about the attack on you so that we can get through it. And that might be the right thing to do.
I think you can make an argument that she's doing something. She's leading these group therapy sessions with all of these guys, most of whom are there voluntarily, and they're not saying anything. I hear what you're saying about how she keeps picking at Harding because Harding was accusing his wife of sleeping around. It's clearly a sore subject. Harding doesn't want to talk about it, but Harding needs to talk about it because Harding, it is very, very heavily implied, is gay. And he's not talking about it. He's not bringing it up. He doesn't want to talk about it, but he's at this asylum voluntarily. So she does need to push him. She needs to get him there somehow. She's not a warm, fuzzy kind of a therapist by any stretch, but I do think there's an argument to be made where she is trying to help these patients overcome their issues. For me, the turn came after the fishing trip, when he has quite literally put all of his fellow inmates in real mortal danger. He takes them on the ocean, unsupervised. He runs off to sleep with this woman, Candy. It's a miracle that nobody goes overboard. It's a miracle that nobody slashes their hand with a hook. I mean, these things can happen on a boat full of non-insane people. Like, I kind of get weirded out on fishing boats in general with the hooks.
When the boat starts going out of control, I thought, oh no, someone might die or something. But no one gets hurt. It's actually a very fun time and everyone has a great time fishing. But Jack Nicholson does not realize you do not give these people the hooks and, see dead fish. And he misunderstood where he was. You're exactly right, Al.
Yeah, and so after they come back and miraculously no one is hurt, there's a meeting with the doctors and Nurse Ratched, and they basically all go around the room and say what they already knew. He's not mentally ill. He just faked it to get here. We should get rid of him. And then Nurse Ratched says, if we bring him back to jail, or even if we put him in a different ward, we're passing the buck. We are not handling the problem. We should handle the problem ourselves. That is, I think, in general, a really good attitude to have. And I wish that more people in the world had that kind of attitude instead of just, this isn't my problem. It can be someone else's problem. I don't want to deal with it. In general, that's a good philosophy. And I think the way that she delivers it in this scene is convincing. She makes it seem like, yes, she does believe that, but she knows that he's not mentally ill. And if that's true, then that means that she should not keep him on her ward. At this point, it's not about helping him because she can't help somebody who's not mentally ill, right? Like, that's not her area of expertise. Presumably, her job is to help people who are mentally ill, and whether she's doing a good job with that or not is up for debate. But that's what she's supposed to be doing. And by keeping McMurphy there at that point, that is vindictive. That is because, oh yeah, you're going to cause shit on my ward? You think you're in charge? I'm in charge. And so that is, I think, where the real turn happens, at least in my reading of the movie, where, okay, now she's showing her true colors, that she is vindictive and manipulative, and she knows the rules that McMurphy doesn't know. He thinks it's just, prison light, basically, where he's going to get out after however many days, and that is very, very much not the case. He also thinks that what he's doing is helpful. He thinks he's helping the patients. You see at that basketball game, well, I think it's the second basketball game, because the first basketball game, Chief is just kind of standing there holding the ball up. He doesn't really know what he's doing. But at that next basketball game, when Chief makes some baskets, he's smiling. He gets through to Chief. We find out that Chief isn't really deaf and dumb, but everyone else doesn't know that. You could also even argue that maybe that's something that Nurse Ratched holds against him, that maybe he's breaking through in a way that she can't by playing basketball, playing poker with these guys and getting them talking about the things that they want to talk about. But at the same time, he's not helping these people really because he has no training. He doesn't know how to help a guy who is gay but repressed, or Billy who's just petrified of women and he has that terrible stutter.
Well, I mean, he doesn't even get Billy. He's like, how come a guy like you're young and you're a handsome young guy, you should be banging women every night, or something. He says something along those lines.
Right. And let's get into some of the other characters in this institution. We talked about Harding and Billy. There's Charlie Cheswick, who is very, very nervous, and he just seems really uncomfortable with kind of everything. There's Tabor, who seems like he's prone to violence, played by Christopher Lloyd. This was Christopher Lloyd's first movie ever. This was his very first film role. Danny DeVito as Martini, who is just very childlike.
Famously, the two of them wind up having a smash success a couple years later on a TV show called Taxi.
Yeah. Vincent Schiavelli is in there too. And there's, I think, one or two shots where he is standing near Danny DeVito and you just see this incredible height difference. Like you kind of need two Danny DeVitos to have one Vincent Schiavelli. The big party scene, it's kind of framed as this is when he's going to escape. And I thought that's what McMurphy was doing right from the get-go when he calls Candy. He's like, come, bring the car. I don't care how you get a car, but come. And then Candy and the other woman come into the institution and they bring booze. And it is, in a way, sweet. I mean, messed up. Very, very messed up. Don't get me wrong. But he could have just bailed. Right when they got there, or pretty much any time once the guard was distracted, he could have left. And he doesn't. He wants to give these guys a party. It's Christmas time. He wants to give them a holiday party that he doesn't have to do. Then he's leaving, and then Billy very clearly wants to hook up with Candy. Billy is saying, I'll do it someday. Someday I'll have a free weekend and I'll meet up with you when you're off in Canada. And McMurphy's like, now. Do it now. She's here, you're here, we have time. Obviously, that is a fatal decision, but he could have just said, hey, we need to get out of here. Let's go. And he doesn't. I was honestly a little bit annoyed how we don't even really see everyone just kind of pass out and fall asleep, because it does seem like McMurphy, even though he's careless and reckless, he still should know to not fall asleep. Let Billy and Candy go into the room, give them some time. It's probably not going to take that long. Presumably, this is Billy's first time. He's probably going to last all of 30 to 45 seconds having sex. Give them 5 to 10 minutes to snuggle, and then get them the fuck out. Go. Leave. That is a colossal mistake that I just felt like kind of came out of nowhere.
I do agree with you that I wish that they had one shot of him like clutching a whiskey bottle and laughing with the guys and just falling over and passing out or something.
Yes, there isn't that shot of him passing out. What there is a very, very long shot of his face.
Right.
And it's a very long take. you see his mind working. You see the gears turning about how this is a good thing. I am doing a nice thing for my friend Billy, and then we're going to leave, and then we're going to be in Canada, and I'm going to be free. It's a really, really powerful shot. And that is something that the director did a lot. The movie was directed by Milos Forman, and he apparently doesn't like to say action and cut. He just lets the camera roll. And so he captures a lot of raw emotion in this movie. Apparently, one of the shots where Ratched looks disgusted with McMurphy, it actually wasn't that. It was actually that she was annoyed with Milos Forman because he had given her some direction that she didn't like. And it was not Nurse Ratched in character. It was Louise Fletcher, the actress, who was kind of just pissed off. But that's in the movie. And so he gets a lot of these really great moments. But Ratched confronts Billy after she catches him in the room with the woman. At first, Billy's like, hey, what's up, everybody? His stutter is gone.
Absolutely.
Maybe he's not cured, but he is in a much better place. Here, Ratched is super nasty, super vindictive, where she's like, well, I guess I have to call your mother. There's no need for her to say this. She's mad. She's mad that McMurphy has helped Billy in a way that she never could have or would have done. She wouldn't have just brought in a woman for him to have sex with. So, yeah, she's pissed. And she says the thing about calling his mom. And then Billy starts punching himself in the head. He had never done that before, that we had seen in the movie. McMurphy had never seen that before. And you see the look on his face where then he gets it. Then McMurphy realizes, oh, this isn't just a young kid who's nervous around girls and needed to get laid. This guy is not mentally well. This guy probably does need to be in an asylum and get some professional help from Nurse Ratched or not, but someone. And that's when he kind of realizes, oh shit. But at that point, it's too late because Billy is dragged into the room kicking and screaming and then takes his own life.
I mean, he literally thinks all this kid needed was to get laid.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, that might be part of what his therapy needed. He needed to socialize, and part of socializing, he might wind up being, sexual with someone he's attracted to, but he's naive to think that's all he needed.
Right. So after that, McMurphy is gone from the ward, and there are rumors, maybe he escaped, maybe he's upstairs, no one really knows where he is. He has been lobotomized. They don't say the word lobotomized or lobotomy in the movie. We see the electric shock therapy earlier. That's another scene where McMurphy doesn't know what's going on. He's not reading the room. He's kind of cracking jokes while they're putting the current on the side of his head and putting the thing in his mouth to bite down. And he's just cracking wise about Ratched and whatever. And then he gets shocked, and it's brutal and it's awful. And apparently Jack Nicholson watched mental patients get electroshock therapy to understand the movement. And so his movements would be realistic. And then he comes back to the ward and he's kind of like in a trance, and you think, oh shit, did they fry his brain? Kind of like we saw in Requiem for a Dream. But no, he was just kind of faking it. He's fine. Yeah, he got buzzed and he didn't really like it. But if that was a more temporary punishment, the lobotomy is permanent. I knew that that's what it was because I remember that from the book. Apparently there was a deleted scene where another patient is lobotomized and they talk about it of, oh, what happened to him? Well, he got lobotomized, and that's when they remove parts of the brain and then you're just kind of a vegetable. I do think from a test of time perspective, having that extra scene would be helpful now, because I don't know that a random person watching this movie for the first time now would know what a lobotomy is. They're not done anymore. It's not explained. And if you hadn't read the book, would you know that automatically?
I'm a random person watching this film for the first time.
Did you know it was a lobotomy?
No, I absolutely did not.
Well, there you go. That proves my point.
The chief sees he's gone and he kills him. It's supposed to be an act of mercy.
Yes.
Because McMurphy, the guy, is dead.
Yes.
And I had no idea he was lobotomized. I thought he was on a continual drip of Thorazine or something.
But then you see the scars on his head. That's what Chief looks for. There's 2 scars on either side of his head.
I'll tell you, I didn't pick up on that. If they did show you the scars, then
they do.
Fine. But I think a quick scene that there is a ward in this hospital that does lobotomies. And then all Nurse Ratched had to say was, call Dr. Johnson. You don't have to say, call Dr. Johnson for the lobotomy that we are going to now perform on him.
And that's my point, that they don't fully explain it. But then Chief picks up the water fountain, water device, hydrotherapy thing, whatever, this massively huge thing that McMurphy tried to lift earlier and couldn't. Chief is able to lift it up, which, okay, you can buy because he's so strong, but then he kind of like is carrying it over his shoulder. I'm like, that seems like that movement to get it from up out of the ground over the shoulder. How the hell could he have done that?
Adrenaline.
Fine. But he throws it out the window and he runs off into the mountains, into the forest. The movie takes place in Oregon. I don't know if they ever say that. Maybe they do. But we do see the front of the institution before. It's a barbed wire fence. It's on a main road. It is like in a town. So here's my question to you, James. Do you think the chief really does lift up that giant thing and smash it through the window and run off? Or maybe that's something that happens in McMurphy's lobotomized mind. Maybe Chief is lobotomized too.
I had no reason to believe we weren't watching reality. No, I think he did it.
Okay.
I was wondering, how did they get over the barbed wire, which didn't seem to be a very secure barbed wire since they had a tree branch going over the barbed wire.
Yeah, McMurphy gets over it very easily.
Right.
Doesn't even appear to have a scratch.
But then again, if it's all voluntary, why do you have barbed wires?
Well, for the few people that are committed.
But my headcanon is that it's just not barbed wired well. I think it's barbed wired around 3 walls of it, and whichever wall is like gated up, I guess they were just too stupid. They figured that the caged windows were good enough.
I love the idea that they only have barbed wire on 3 sides. Like they couldn't afford the 4th. They didn't have a coupon for barbed wire and they ran out. They're like, no one's going to run out that way.
I'll tell you what happened. One side is, they could reinforce it with caged like windows that you don't really need anything. But the front, well, we got a front entrance. It's got a glass entry. You can't really secure this. So we should put barbed wire around like the front of it.
My reaction to it was just kind of a continuity thing. And they wanted to show him running off in the distance into the forest. And the movie does start with Nurse Ratched driving in her car kind of through the countryside. But I think just because you do see so many other shots of the barbed wire and it being on the street, it's a legitimate question. I believe in the book, it's not ambiguous. It's that the chief really does escape.
All right.
But James, let me ask you about the movie in general. Do you think One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest stands the test of time?
Yes, I think this film was very interesting. It was well acted. Jack Nicholson is fantastic. Everyone's good. Christopher Lloyd, Danny DeVito, and Louise Fletcher. It's not a lighthearted film. It's a film about a mental institution in the 60s, so no one's really coming out well in this film. But that being said, the rest of the film is very entertaining. It's wonderful. And yes, it does stand the test of time. What do you think, Al? 50 years later, does it stand the test of time?
I think so. I think this is a real masterclass in screenwriting and acting and directing. It is a tough movie to watch because of the subject matter, but it's a riveting film. I couldn't take my eyes off it. I was absolutely hooked. I really wanted to see what was going to happen, and I enjoyed kind of thinking about McMurphy's motivations and Ratched's and what they're thinking at different times. And the movie kind of gives you space to do that. It doesn't feel exploitative about people in mental health institutions. I think in a weird way, it's kind of pro mental health, not necessarily mental health institutions. No one would watch this movie and think, oh, I want to go and get treated by Nurse Ratched. Of course. But I do think that it shows, hey, there are people in the world who have issues and they need help, and fuckers like McMurphy shouldn't bust in and think, everyone's fine, I can fix it, I'll just play cards with them, I'll show them my nudie card deck and get them laid and take them fishing and I'll fix it. No, you do need to leave this to the professionals. The movie does feel very anti-authority, anti-establishment, counterculture kind of vibe, which is more of the 60s than of the 70s because, it's based on a book that came out in 62. And I don't think that that sentiment was really as prevalent in 75. It's maybe more of a hippie sort of a vibe, you might call it. You know, this guy fighting the establishment and fighting back and ultimately losing because he doesn't understand the power of this institution, because he thinks he can fight back and he's so smart and he can't. He does not understand that he is just one guy fighting against this massive institution that has the power to crush him and effectively kill him, and it does. And it's sad. It's heartbreaking. It is truly a tragic ending, even though lobotomies aren't a thing that happen anymore. I think that the movie still is really powerful, and it definitely stands the test of time. Also, just, you know, it's cool seeing very young Danny DeVito and Christopher Lloyd and Vincent Schiavelli and all these guys. Louise Fletcher is so good in this movie, but then kind of didn't really get a ton of work after it because she was so believable as this villain that it kind of hurt her career, which is awful. That's an awful thing to happen to her as an actress.
It happens sometimes to people, like, you know, an actor like a Jaleel White or Rainn Wilson has talked about, you know, people associate him with Dwight Schrute so much from The Office. This can happen. You're right. That's a famous story about Louise Fletcher.
She gives an Oscar-winning performance and then can't get work because she's too damn good. Yeah. That sucks. But that's going to do it for us this week. Next week, we're going to be talking about Sneakers, a movie that's not about the things you wear on your feet, but about hacking, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a hacking film.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that. In the meantime, we want to hear from you. We are at Test of Time Pod on Facebook, X, Instagram, and Threads. Write to us. Let us know your thoughts on One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, the book, the movie, Nurse Ratched, McMurphy, electroshock therapy, lobotomies, whatever. We love hearing from you, and we'll see you next time, everyone.
Bye.